Hi, this is Mike Essen, South Florida's conservative voice, talking about the very controversial subject of who's better, Michael Jordan or LeBron James is the NBA GOAT. In case you don't know, it stands for the greatest player of all time, greatest of all time. I think it's clearly Michael Jordan. I'm going to make my case why right now. There's so many reasons. To me, this is an easy question. That is, I think there's better players than LeBron James. I'll get to that later. Besides Michael Jordan, not many, but some. Let's talk about scoring for a second. Michael Jordan has a 30.1 points per game average in his whole career. LeBron has a 26.8. Now, it's more substantial than that. I want to explain why. That's substantial enough. I mean, remember, 22 points when Michael played was like 30 points right now, or even 10 years ago. So Michael dominated the boards completely. He could shoot from the paint. He could dunk. He was a key scorer. And if he wasn't a selfish player, he would have scored more. That's why people ask me how many we scored today, how many points we scored today. I would say 42 or 43. Some people think 50. He could if he wanted to, but he was not a selfish player. Now, who had more scoring titles? This is pardon the pun, a slam dunk. LeBron had one scoring title in his whole career. So when it comes to scoring, he didn't dominate that like crazy. He had one exceptional year in scoring. Michael Jordan in his whole career had 10 scoring titles. 10-1. Isn't that amazing? And we have to judge players, as you know, by their time. And by that time, he was dominating almost every year of his career with more in a tighter era of passing, and teamwork than LeBron. He was clearly a better scorer. He was also clearly a better defensive player. I hear some people say LeBron was a better defensive player. They don't know what they're talking about. Not only did Michael Jordan was a three-time steals champion, LeBron never was. Now, I'm not taking away from LeBron on defense. He was excellent. He is and was an excellent defender. He was a great player. I'm not taking away from his greatness. Greatest of all time is different than great. Michael Jordan was Defensive Player of the Year in 1988. This was a time they said he couldn't play without a supporting cast. He was dominant. I was there. He dominated the league. I used to watch him. He was a 9-time first-team All-NBA defensive player. LeBron, 5 times. That's substantial. So not only did he have 4 more points per game in a more competitive era than LeBron had in a less competitive era, but he had 4 more defensive titles, 3 steals titles to none, and he was the best defender in the league at one point. That's offense and defense. Let's talk about other areas. The clutch gene. This is crucial. I really judge a lot of players in history. I'm going to talk about this a little later. I'm going to mention a few other players people put as the GOAT by how they do when the game is on the line. And there's no comparison here either. Jordan had 50% in playoff games with 24 seconds or less with the game on the line. With 24 seconds or less. He won 50% of the time. LeBron won 35. That's just the playoffs. There's no question Jordan had the clutch gene like nobody else, maybe Larry Bird. He was there at the moment. He could steal the ball. He dunked the ball. He passed the ball. And there's not always statistics on this. We all know that he was Mr. Clutch. LeBron here and there does, but I don't think it stands out as much as a lot of players. I don't think he had the clutch gene like Jerry West had. I mean, he was a better player than him. It's one factor, but the way someone performs when the game is on the line is crucial. You want a winner. A winner is not just someone who has more championships. I mean, Robert Horry has 7 championships, so Jordan is a winner because he won when it counted. So we're putting all these things together. I'm going to recap more at the end. Also, he inspired the team a lot more. LeBron James flops, he travels, which I hold against him. I mean, Michael Jordan broke his back playing basketball. LeBron cries like a baby, flops, and then there was no imagine hand checking if there was hand checking now, like there was then, or there were the tighter rules. LeBron survived that era, but he wouldn't be as effective, I don't think. He'd be great, but not as great. But Jordan inspired everybody else to play better. Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant. You had players like Steve Kerr and Tony Kukoc. Rodman was a great defender wherever he was, but he was even better when Jordan was on the team. He's more known for playing for Chicago than Detroit, who won 2 championships with him, and San Antonio, because Jordan made everybody better. That's a major component to being the GOAT. How you inspire the team, like Magic and Bird, who saved basketball in the 1980s. They didn't care about stats hardly at all. They wanted them, but they didn't care about it. They cared about winning, inspiring the team. Jordan did that with getting stats. LeBron did it. Now let's talk about being a winner. Jordan, as you know, had 6 championships, never went to a game 7, but he was the MVP in all 6 of those finals. Not to mention 2 years in his prime, he played baseball. He could have had 8. I can't give him credit for something he didn't do, but he could have had those 8. This is something I hold deeply against LeBron. Yes, he had 4 championships, but he did not build those teams. He chased super teams to get them. Okay, he got them, great, but it's better. Like, let me give you an example. Bill Russell, Larry Bird, and Magic Johnson instantly, almost. Magic in his first year, Russell in his first year, Bird in the second, turned those teams around and got championships. Jordan took him a little while longer, but he got 6 of them. He dominated the 90s. He played also against great competition. He had 2 of the top 10 players ever on the Lakers, Kareem and Magic, and he had that great Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish team. You got the Bad Boy Pistons. We had really impeccable competition in the 80s. But to chase teams to win championships means, does he not think he can do it himself, LeBron James? So he didn't have as many championships or MVPs, but he didn't do it alone. I do think the 90s, when people say that this era would be harder to play in the 90s, they never lived in the 90s. And they are ignorant. There was hand checking. It was a lot more physical a game. It was more defensive oriented. Here when there's a player open, they shoot 3-pointers and see if they could get it. But Jordan played in a much more physical defensive era. That has to count too. One of the most amazing statistics about MJ is and now if you want to compare rebounds, that's a lot tougher because a forward is going to rebound more than a guard is. We got to go per capita though. Before Dennis Rodman came on the Bulls on the scene, he was a leading rebounder consistently in his team for a guard. That is an amazing statistic. I can't think of one area, but I'm not even going to give. If you want to give rebounding, fine. If you don't want to, that's fine too. It's a different position. Jordan's not there to rebound, but if he was, I think he could do just as well. The big argument for LeBron is longevity. Like this, it's sort of like Marsha, the Brady Bunch. Who cares? It's a factor, but to say that overrides all of this doesn't make sense to me. Let me give you an analogy. The longest playing NFL player ever was George Blanda of the Oakland Raiders. Played for Houston for a little while too. The Houston Oilers no longer in existence. He played till he was 48. Are you going to tell me he's a better quarterback than a player like any of the Green Bay stars like Bart Starr, Aaron Rodgers? Forget Tom Brady even, but Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre, or even someone like Joe Montana, Otto Graham, or Johnny Unitas or Peyton Manning? No. And Franz Harkinson had more longevity than anyone and broke all the records. Nobody even in the 80s, I was there, thought he compared to people like Johnny Unitas or Joe Montana, or Otto Graham, who were considered the best in that time, or even Dan Marino or John Elway for that matter. So why should LeBron be considered better than Jordan? The only area you could argue is longevity and maybe rebounding. I want to talk about 3 other GOAT candidates because I hear some names mentioned sporadically, very mildly in the conversation. And they're all centers. Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Jordan is better than all 3 of them. I'm going to make the cases. since we're at it, in case you write in the comments, what about them? I'm gonna beat you to the punch. Bill Russell was the ultimate team winner. He had 11 championships in 13 seasons. He was, I think he's the greatest big of all time, by the way. The majority doesn't agree with me. That's for a different show. But I think in many ways, Jordan's 6 championships were more impressive. First of all, I never went to a game 7. Second of all, there were 8 to 11 teams when Russell played. There were 32 teams when Jordan played. And Jordan had a better skill set all around, so he does win that battle. Wilt Chamberlain was the most statistically dominant player. Now, if I said this without any context, you would think I think he's the GOAT. I don't at all. He was not a team player. He was very selfish. He wanted the ball all the time instead of giving it to his other players, and chastised his teammates for not giving him the ball. And he was not a clutch player at all. He did win 2 championships for dominant teams with Hal Greer and the Sixers, Jerry West and the Lakers, and Gil Goodrich, what have you. But the coach used to take him out when the game was on the line. Even Rick Barry, who was a huge Wilt supporter, said he was not good in clutch moments. So I can't rank him ahead of Jordan for those reasons. Kareem had 6 MVPs, like Michael had 5, and he had 6 championships. That's great. But he did them with great point guards. He was great without the point guards. He had Oscar Robertson for his first season and Magic for his last 5 championship. Magic for his last 5. If he would have done those consistently without those players, he was the best player in the league then. I'm taking nothing away from any of these players. You got to say, I mean, once you've made that echelon, you are amazing. These are the 3 greatest bigs of all time. LeBron is one of the greatest players of all time. In fact, I would say that Kevin Durant or Tim Duncan are not in LeBron's league either. LeBron is amazing and an all-around player. But it is absurd. Let me just go over these stats again. The scoring per points per game goes to Jordan by 4 points. Scoring titles, 9 goes to Michael Jordan. All defensive teams, 4 go to Michael's favor. Steals leaders, 3-0. Clutch play and playoff clutch play easily goes to Michael. Inspires a team, easily goes to Michael. Championships and MVPs, doing it on your not chasing teams, easily goes to Michael. This to me is the most overhyped, in a sense, debate in sports. There shouldn't be a debate. I've challenged some LeBron fans to come on. They weren't afraid of me. They just didn't want. One thought it was an exhausted topic, and some just didn't want to come on the air. I love GOAT debates, by the way. Here's where I disagree with Michael Jordan. It's nothing to do with his play. He thinks a GOAT debate is not fair competition because you can't say, because people played in different eras, people didn't play against each other. I don't agree with him on that. I think you have to judge them for their time, and it's so much fun. It's sometimes more fun than watching the sport, talking about this. I don't think there was ever a player who dominated his sport like Jordan did in the 80s and 90s. There was nothing. He had no weaknesses. Also, free throw shooting. He was an amazing free throw shooter. I don't think the global impact makes him a better player. I think it just means he was a better actor. He was a better actor in the Space Jam movie. That's separate. I'm just kidding on that one. Some people think global impact matters. I don't think it does. I think only when you're on the court, that's all that matters. Now, I want to talk about that he lost 2 years in his prime. I have mixed feelings about giving him credit for that. We know he would have done amazing things. No one knows who would have won Chicago or Houston. It's not what we're talking about. But on the other hand, I can't really give him credit for something he didn't do, but he would have done great. Sort of like Ted Williams is 5 years off in the war in Korea and World War II, and he could have hit so many home runs if he didn't have those. I love doing these light shows. I got my T-shirt on. I do light. I have my T-shirt on with the light shows. So we're not going to be doing. I did a movie show last week. It's not going to be often I do a lot of these because this is a conservative political program, and I want to spread the message. But once in a while, I think you have to lay back and know there's more to life than politics. My big passion in life is movies. That's my number one bread and butter. But this is not typically a movie show. I did the best of the 70s and 80s last week. We have a lot of great guests coming up. We have Kelsey Pritchard of Susan B. Anthony, spokeswoman for Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life. We have Ozzy Perez, conservative activist, Lena Garcia, supervisor of elections. We have Karina Schmidt, a podcaster and an activist from Charlotte County, conservative. We have Chris Monzone from the John Birch Society, and I have a debate coming up. You want to hear this? It's going to be recorded on September 3rd. I'm debating Steve Engel, a liberal from Palm Beach, on birthright citizenship. Check out MikeEssenshow.com for my new website. Also, like and subscribe. And remember, Michael Jordan is the GOAT.